This video today is going to teach you how to get cold traffic or people that are not familiar with your brand at all. Within YouTube ad campaigns to work profitably for your business. A lot of you guys, if you've tried YouTube and gotten some success, you've gotten a little bit of success if people have been to your site already and then you're using the remarketing video ads on YouTube ads to kind of close the deal. And they are really, really great for that. But this video is going to go beyond that. Most of you guys, 90+% of you guys have tried to use YouTube ads to find new people to buy your stuff, which is, by the way, so entirely scalable. Really, really scalable if you can figure out how to do it to the point where you'll make more from YouTube ads to cold traffic than you're going to get from Google search ads in a lot of different markets if you can figure out how to get it to work. Basically, what I'm going to share with you here today is the golden method on getting YouTube ads to work for a cold audience. So if you really want to be able to make a 5-to-1 return, 8-to-1 return, 10-to-1 return to cold audiences on YouTube ads or through YouTube ads, this is going to be able to teach you how to do this specifically. So I'll get into the meat of the reasons why, that if you've tried YouTube ads for your business already, why it hasn't worked. And then of course, what is that golden method to get it to work for your company basically every time if you use the methodology itself. And then of course, some basic benchmarks to know what the results you should be able to get out of this and what you should be gunning for at the end of the day. So lots of people try to get YouTube campaigns to work. To work really well for them, get that 5-to-1, 6-to-1, 8-to-1 return in terms of revenue to every dollar spent on the YouTube ads. But they fail 90+% of the time. I know it's 90+% of the time, by the way, because I look at hundreds and hundreds of different ad accounts here at my PPC agency, and I see people trying YouTube ads all the time and failing, which is why I wanted to make a video about how to get this to actually work. What are the actual necessary ingredients to this that gets it to work when it does work? So anyway, why is it that they're failing most of the time? And you may have failed if you've tried it out for yourself and wondered what the hell you have to do to get it to work. The first major reason of the 3 reasons why it doesn't work for people is because they can't make a decent ad, which I know that sounds like a really obvious answer, but some people think, stupidly, that you could just go pluck a video off of your YouTube channel that you use to maybe for people that have already been to your site already to kind of get a bit more information about your products or service or whatnot. And then they just try to repurpose that video to serve as their video that they're going to use to get new people that have never heard of them before to buy from them and get interest in their company so that they will eventually buy from them. And what I'm telling you here is what somebody who's already interested in your brand needs to see and what people that have never heard of your brand needs to see are 2 totally different things. You need and it's hard enough as is to get the campaign to work, to not start out with a video that you deliberately have perfectly tailored to get somebody who has never heard of you before to stop what they were doing on YouTube. Think about it from the consumer's perspective. You're watching a video about African tree frogs and how they're going extinct. Your video ad comes up and you're supposed to be able to get that person's attention enough so where they don't click skip to just go check out your product or service. That's going to be very hard to do. You're not going to do it just by winging it. You've got to actually spend the time and the money to put together a video ad, which if you want to save money, a lot of you guys can do half of the work of the planning of the script and stuff like that and give it to a video production company or a video producer like I do at our firm if you've seen our video ads, and not have to spend as much money. Now, but either way, you need a deliberate strategy, deliberate plan for making that video basically if it's going to work. And if you And that all starts with the script, and then you have the video follow the script that you make, a written script. That written script, by the way, if you want a basic, really great format for coming up with a script that basically works every time, go ahead and search on this YouTube channel, go to the my channel homepage, and then go to the search bar and type in video YouTube video script, and you'll get my basic formula there for making a YouTube video script that will work every time. It basically, by the way, without going there and watching that video, it's like, do you have XYZ problem? Well, this product will fix XYZ problem. And then it goes on into, it will fix it because of this reason, this reason, this reason. And that's the basic kind of formula that works on YouTube to get someone's attention really fast. And with that, going into the next thing, people don't get results because they can't target their ads very well to the people on YouTube that they need to target, that are, people that would actually buy if you got the perfect ad in front of them. And these two, I put an arrow here because they're tied together. Ultimately, who you target is going to have their own wishes, needs, desires, and your ad has to focus in on what those needs and desires are in order for the whole campaign to work. So what a lot of people will do is they will just target everybody that wants to buy their product, and really what they should be doing is figuring out specific reasons why people buy your product, and then use your video to explain to users that you want to sell to that you can solve that particular user's problem, because the more kind of specific you get about what you're talking about in your video, the more it's going to pull. And it needs to pull so much in terms of clicks to your website in order to make money. And the more clicks you get from each view of your video means the lower the cost per click to your site is going to be. And so your goal is to, basically be so relevant to that user that ultimately you're going to get a super high click-through, and then what you're paying to get someone to your site's 10 cents, 5 cents, 3 cents versus 50 cents, $1, and then you can start to make money. But anyway, they don't target very well. They might target people that are over a certain age demographic or what have you, and you need to get super specific about who is it that's the most ideal customer for you, and then what is their most, in terms of what your product or service can do for them, what is the most desired thing that they want to fix that your product or service can fix, and then focus on that in the video. So if you find out that within your customers that you have, that business customers are kind of like your bread and butter, if you will, even though you sell to non-businesses as well, then you make a video targeting the business owners specifically. And then of the reasons why the business owners buy, the top reason why they buy in terms of what that product or service you have fixes for them, that's what you mention in the video. If you have, ultimately, if you're selling a mailbox to business customers and it's there to help save that business customer time, then your video ad should target the business customers, not everybody who buys your product, but just the business customers, and then focus on, tired of accepting packages and having it waste your time, get our mailbox and you don't have to worry about this anymore. So that's how how the ad and the targeting kind of meld together, and in which you're going to have a very high response rate from your ad. So the clicks are so super cheap that there's nothing else left besides to make money from your campaign. So, and there's all kinds of advanced targeting that Google gives you with your YouTube campaigns. You can target people who have just been to a competitor's website. You could target people who have most recently on Google searched for your product. You could target people who are in market for, in terms of they're going to move soon. And there's literally infinite ways that you can target when you actually consider that all the 1,000+ ways that Google has to target somebody, you can make them have to have multiple things in conjunction, otherwise your ad won't show up for them. So your goal is to really hyper-analyze your customer base. What is the traits that truly make them unique? And then tell Google through Google Ads and for your YouTube ads, what are the exact traits that these people need to have that makes them like a slam dunk of a person to sell to, and only have your ad show up for them. And ultimately, your goal should basically be starting out, of the 1,000 people in the world that are most likely to buy your product, what traits do they have? What traits in conjunction, that if they had all these traits together, that they would be most likely to buy? And that is really about 1,000 people in the whole world at any given time. Set up your targeting to just target that. And then of that, once you've done that, of those people that you've narrowed it down to, what's the one thing that your product or service does that they want fixed the most? And then make your video speak on that selling point specifically. That's the magic formula, so to say, that you want as far as your targeting and your ads. And when you combine stuff like, well, you know your customer is 45 plus, and you have that as a targeting requirement, they need to have that, and they have to have searched for your product on Google in the last 30 days, which you can do through YouTube ads, and they've been to one of your competitors' sites in the last 30 days it's a competitor that's similar in price as your product or service, indicating that person has budget for what you are selling and are not tire kickers, so to say, or they visited multiple competitor sites, indicating they really are. It's a really strong sign that that person is going to be buying something from your market soon. And they've been looking at new houses recently. You go ahead and set that up, and the time and the research that you spend to get all that set up is going to be why your campaign works. It's like going to war. The people that win at war did the most preparation up front, and that's how people win. So, and this is no different. Ultimately, Google gives you really valuable insights as to what your customers are like if you don't even have them. Obviously, you know to a certain degree who's your slam dunk prospect that you could sell to that almost will buy every time. But beyond that, if you go into, and you've been advertising through Google Ads before, you can go into the data insights part of your account and see the affinity segments, the in-market segments that Google's through their own data analysis have figured out the people that buy from you. What makes those people unique? It actually runs through, and it'll be like business travelers, and it'll be people who like fast food restaurants. And when you take that level of data that Google gives you for free, by the way, just so that you can do an effective campaign like I'm telling you here, and very few people take advantage of, you'll be able to create a profile in terms of knowing exactly the type of people that buy from you that you can use for your targeting in conjunction together, so that they must have all these things together. And once you actually narrow the 100 million people on YouTube down to a list of 1,000 people, you've got something that is going to work, and you're not wasting all this money hoping to hit somebody that might buy your product. You pretty much got in front of somebody who you're not wasting your time with. Ultimately, if you spent, by the way, $50,000 or more a lifetime on Google, and you're selling to business consumers, or even business, like if you're not selling to businesses but you're selling to regular customers, you can go ahead and get an email list of the exact people that should buy, and then just advertise to them on YouTube using the email list. You got to have spent $50,000 lifetime to do it though. But for business to business sales, this is the great thing, because you can cut out all the, as they call it, waste circulation, showing up for people that you know aren't the best prospects for you, and just focus on the ones that you know it's a slam dunk, because that kind of advantage is how you actually make sure you make money every time. If you're not selling to businesses, you're selling to end consumers, you can go to a place like Nextmark mailing lists and search for people who have bought from, for instance, another, if you sell pottery equipment, you can actually get the customer list of other pottery equipment sellers that these companies sell their customer lists to data brokers like Nextmark lists to make money. And with that, you can actually then use that email list of those customers to then use that as your targeting option in YouTube. So you're just targeting people who you know already buy pottery stuff, which gives you that, a huge advantage on everybody else, because you're not having to, run your ad to everybody, to figure out the few people that really are serious about buying pottery equipment. So those are the type of advantages that you can give yourself with targeting specifically, so that the money that you are spending to show up for somebody is well spent every time, and that's how you are able to win at this. But anyway, the third reason here of why people don't get their ads to work is because they don't know how to track their results very well. If you're generating leads, they're not tracking if those leads turn into sales, if they're qualified leads, and don't use that data to plug in to their account so they can see when their YouTube ad produces a sale or produces a qualified lead. They can see it so that they can start drilling down. Their ads to the things that did not for the things that did not work. Find out certain age demographics that didn't work and produce an ROI for them. Certain devices, certain times of the day, certain days of the week, and so forth. If you are doing e-commerce sales, you're not tracking whether somebody sees the ad and then ends up buying from you, because a lot of people, and this goes for all display advertising online, even if you're running banner ads as well, you're going to get more sales from people seeing your ad and then buying later without clicking through than you're going to get from people clicking through. When you're generating leads, you could rely a lot on people clicking through and then filling out the form and then tracking that way, but still not great. When you're talking about an e-commerce purchase, very few people see the ad, click through, and buy. So what you want to do is track if somebody's seen the ad and then later on see if they bought within the last 30 days to determine if that ad had what they call a conversion lift on for that particular audience, i.e. people that saw your ad there on YouTube. And you do that through something called view-through conversions or engage-view conversions, which you want to add into your with your campaign. So ultimately, since that will pick up the maximum amount of conversions and the true, more so a more accurate representation on what that ad did to get after it got in front of them in terms of changing or steering their user behavior to the direction of buying from you versus somebody else in your market or whatnot. So you don't track all their conversions. They expect people to click through the ad right away and buy, and that might only be 20% of what you're actually getting in terms of sales. They don't target precisely enough, to sum it up, and they don't make an ad that speaks to the exact problem that the person that they're actually targeting at the end of the day, or they're targeting so broad that they can't speak of a specific problem because they have different types of customers and they're so generalized with their ad that it stands out for nobody, and you don't get a high click-through rate on your ad ultimately at the end of the day. So that said, here's the formula, putting this all to paper, that I use to get cold traffic YouTube campaigns to work. So first of all, and this is a common question I get all the time from clients, Corey, how long should the video be that I run? And a good video ad is between 30 seconds and 2 minutes. If you have a very complex product, you can go more so on the 2-minute side. If you have something that's more simple, go to the 30-second side. Ultimately, the video is as long as it needs to be to explain what it is that you are selling so the consumer gets the gist of it and why they should buy it. If you can get that done in 30 seconds, you do 30 seconds because a higher percentage will get to the end of the video where the call to action button is to visit your website. But if you cut it down to 30 seconds, you have something super complicated that takes a while to explain the value proposition of what you're adding. You got to make it longer. And if your content's interesting and you got it targeted right, people are going to watch all the way through because they're just interested. It's like a website. On a website, you're always trying to provide everybody enough information so that the most inquisitive person will always get the amount of information they need in order to feel comfortable to make a purchase. That said, if you start adding extra information that people don't need, it starts to bog down the user in terms of getting the key information they need, and then your conversion rates take a hit. So the goal is to pretty much figure out what's the right amount of information I need to present, but also with the website, by the way, you try to break things into sections so that for the few people that let's say the 20% that need more information on this, they have to click a link to go to a separate page where they can get this. But they all know that this is available if they want it. And then with a video, you can't necessarily do that. So you're going to have to kind of just generalize what's the amount of information that 80% of the people that are going to watch this video are going to want. And then from there, you try to squeeze down all that information into a tightest package as possible. But if it takes a minute and a half to explain it, you go to a minute and a half. If you can get it down to 30 seconds because you can cut out some fluff, you do that so more people get to the end of the commercial, and they, ultimately less people are going to click skip before they get to the call to action button, which offers a link to your website to go buy or opt in to a contact form or what have you. So your ad should be 30 seconds to 2 minutes, somewhere in that range is the typical ones that work for our business and our clients. And that video should, again, specifically focus on a pain point or desire that the consumer has, okay? So, and if you don't know the best thing, the number one thing that people care about, then you need to go through all your sales emails and find out what the most commonly asked questions are and or scenarios as to why people are buying. So, respectively, you actually kind of want a combination thereof. If they're want to find out basically though, what are most of the people that do buy, why they're buying, and then ultimately from there, so you focused on that at the starting part of the video. So they're all buying because other products don't work to regrow their hair. You start the video out saying, are you tired of other hair growth products not regrowing your hair and ultimately they don't work? And then from there, you focus on the most common questions as tied to people that think that way, i.e., they think it doesn't work because all products are a scam. So if that's the case, the second part of your video, you say, all products aren't a scam. Products that do things this way typically are a scam, but that's because they don't do X. And so you get the general idea. You got to really study how people are, the free education that your consumers are giving you as they come in as to why they're buying and what are their prejudices against buying from you, so that you can take care of those people on that video, so that you can educate them as to, yes, we can fix your problem and here is why. So for that, like I said before, you need to make a custom video that's perfectly designed to get somebody a short education on your product or service and why it can help them specifically and for what reasons. And then, but beyond that, a lot of times you got to make custom videos for each campaign that you're running. So if you're going to just advertise to people that are partially going to like the hair loss example, if you got ultimately different types of buyers, you got partially bald, all the way bald, starting to bald, whatever, you're more than likely you're going to have to run a separate campaign and video for each one of those subsegments, because you're going to be too generalized in your speech and what on your video for people to get a good click-through rate on your video otherwise, which I know what you're saying, it's going to be a lot of work to be able to make all those videos, but sometimes that's just what it takes to get good results. And of course you could just do one at a time, but what you don't want to do a lot of the time is just try to make one video that speaks to all your customers, because it's just too generalized. Some markets you can get away with it, some you certainly cannot. So if I was selling the hair loss product, which we've done stuff like this before, I'm going to speak of the people that have, a certain specific type of hair loss, propecia, and say, ultimately, do you have tired of your propecia problem? There's a product that actually works specifically for people that have propecia, and here is why. Boop, 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 boop. So then you do that other one for other people that have different types of hair loss. That's going to work 3 to 5 times better than trying to do a video for everybody who has hair loss. Even though your product actually is the same for helping all of them, you got to get it narrowed down enough so when somebody sees it, they know exactly why I should see this, why right now. So once you actually got it narrowed down enough in terms of you got one specific type of customer that buys from you, that's probably a bigger portion of your sales, and you get a video that speaks directly to that person as to educating them on, we can fix your problem and here is why. You're going to have to then figure out your targeting so you can narrow down to those exact people on YouTube. The best way to do that, by the way, that I always rely on first is targeting the competitor audiences. Using custom intent audience or audiences, you can actually set up an audience for every direct competitor that you have. So if you have, and as it comes to the previous example that I gave about the Propecia people which is a type of hair loss that you have, if there's people that sell products just for that specific type of hair loss, find those competitors and add them as a targeting option using a custom intent audience, which allows you to target anybody who's went to that competitor's site or Googled them in the last 30 days so that your video ad can show up for them. And you already know that they have that problem and they're looking for a solution, which it doesn't get any better than that in terms of finding somebody that's a slam dunk customer that you should be going for, like I mentioned before. And you should be, right away with that competitor audience, be successful as soon as you turn that ad on. So ultimately, with the competitor ad, if you go that general direction, what you want to do in terms of making the video tailored or focused enough to work well, you could actually say, do you have Propecia? There's a product that can help you. I would go one step further, specifically for the competitor targeted audiences. I would say, are you considering XYZ product name? Even though, some people may not want to do that, but it works extremely well. Consider our product because it's actually, it works 3 times better, and then show like yours versus their product, and it actually costs a little bit less. And here's the reason why it works better and costs less. You actually make out like a bandit if you could target the competitor audiences and create a custom video comparing your product or service to that competitor's product or service head on. This is the same kind of thing you saw going on regular TV for the longest time, cleaning products. They would show their product versus the leading competitions. That's very, very effective. They did it for a reason. Of course, they said other leading brands. So you could say other leading brands if you wanted to, but if you say that specific competitor, it's going to work 3 times as good. So it's up to you what you do necessarily there. But that's what you want to, so first of all, focus on targeting your competitors' audiences first, because those are almost always a home run. And try to, if you can, make a custom video for every competitor. If not, of course, try to focus your video and be as specific as possible as to what you're going to help that person do, i.e. fix this specific problem that you have, not this product fixes lots of things, but this fixes exactly what problem that you have. So anyway, you can target the competitors. If you're targeting general viewers, i.e. not like non-competitors, non-competitor audiences, you have to ask yourself if you should be sub-focusing on specific customer personas. I've mentioned a little bit about this before. We sold a luxury mailbox. One of the customers we knew that within the customers we have that are buying a lot, looking at the data sources section of Google Ads, is business customers. And also people that have small offices. So what did we do? Instead of having an ad that mentions that you can get a package while you're away, delivered to your house, and ultimately is convenient for you, we targeted our ad to people that just had small home offices and had our video say, tired of having your phone calls interrupted while receiving packages? Well, you should try this product here because it will prevent you from ever having that problem again. And here's why, blah, 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 blah. So that's an example of ultimately what you should be doing as far as the targeting goes. You can target your competitors first, and then from there, try to figure out how to speak to individual types of buyers that you have and focusing them in terms of the targeting. So you could just laser target a type of buyer that you have right now and then mentioning the top concern that they have and that you can fix that concern. Now, how do you know if you're doing this right? Okay, we're getting into that part of the video now. If you're doing the targeting and the ad, in terms of the targeting is super specific into you got a slam dunk customer you know you could sell to, and you got the video set up where you're speaking directly to that type of customer in terms of what their exact concern was or is, and that you can fix it, and you join them together, you should have at least 0.25% click-through rate on your ad. Meaning, 400 times that your ad shows, you should have at least 0.25% of the people clicking through. Okay, and when I mean 0.25% clicking through, I'm not meaning ones that, and that doesn't take out people that click the skip button. I mean actual impressions. 400 times it's shown. Some people will click skip, some people won't. But of the 400, you should be able to at least convince one person to click through your ad. That will indicate if you were targeted enough with your targeting and targeted enough with your video to speak to the exact people that you were targeting. And going back to what I said before, higher your click-through rate on your ad, the lower your cost per click. The goal is to get the click-through rate up as high as possible so the cost per click is low as possible. Because if you get the cost per click low enough, you make money. That's just all this is. It's just like saying, if I gave you an unlimited amount of YouTube clicks to your site, and I gave them to you for free, obviously you would make money every time, right? The only question is, what's the price of the traffic worth in which you could still make a good ROI and good margins on what you're selling? Can you afford to pay 1 penny a click, 3 pennies a click, 5 pennies a click? Your goal is to obviously with your site get your conversion rate set high enough in terms of your website being good so that you can get your conversion rates up as high as you can so you can afford to pay the most amount of money you can for a click while still making money, okay? But from the other end, the higher your click-through rate, the cheaper the cost per click is going to be. So you work it from both angles. You get the best possible ad that's targeted as tightly as possible so that you have a super high click-through rate and you're paying as little as you can for a click. And that actually lines up with what you can afford to pay for a click because your site converts at such and such a rate. You make money. You're just trying to meet those two in the middle. How well will your site convert? Your site converts at XYZ%, meaning you can pay up to 5 cents a click. Can your ad get a cost per click that's below 5 cents? And everything becomes all about then making the ad just slightly better and making the targeting a bit tighter so that you don't have as much waste circulation and you make money. So 0.25% click-through rates is a good indication that you've got the targeting and ads set up right and they're tight and you don't have a lot of waste in there and you're actually very relevant to who you're trying to speak to. With that, you'll often be able to get the cost per click down to cost per view itself will be 2 to 5 cents a view at that point. And the cost per click can be down to about 50 cents or $1.50 per click, which that doesn't sound the cheapest, but when you consider that the ad filters a whole bunch of these people in terms of, if you could get in a lot of markets, we were paying $1 a click from YouTube ads, you're going to make money because these people are already pre-sold on what you have. It's almost like, I don't know if you're familiar with shopping ads, but the reason why shopping ads work so good on Google search is because people could see what you have before they click. So they're pretty much already half sold before they even get to your site. Now it's just closing the deal. This is very similar to that. So that's a general benchmark of what you're going for to get your cost per click cheap enough that you most likely will be able to make money. Of course, the other half is making sure you have a good site that converts well, but I'm assuming you have that already set up right as well. So, and with that, by the way, of the YouTube traffic you drive to your site, if you're generating leads, meaning that you're just looking for somebody to fill out the form or call, for the most part, if you have an average producing site in your niche, you should be able to get 3% of the YouTube clicks from the ad to your site to convert into a lead. If you sell a product, you're doing e-commerce, if you sell something between $0 and $100, you should be able to get around 3% of the people to buy. So, which is something you aren't going to get in a lot of other display advertising places online, because that person's very well pre-qualified before they get to your site. The higher your product price, the less your conversion rate's going to be. If we go further here, and we assume our product is between $100 and $500, a general benchmark you could check out to see if you're on track and your site's good enough to have this. You want to know if your site is basically good enough to be able to work. That's, these are general benchmarks that you could see if your site needs to be up first before you know that your YouTube campaign can work. Of course, though, the better you're targeting with your YouTube campaign and the better that your ad does explaining, the better your conversion rate's going to be as well. So it's not all just on the site itself. But just to generally know if you're on track, these basic numbers here will give you an idea. If you're between $100 and $500, you're about a 1.5% in terms of what you should expect in terms of sales conversion rate. If you're between $500 and $1,000, you can expect to be at around 0.75% conversion rate. If you're between $1,000 and $3,000, you should be at about 0.35% conversion rate to a sale. If you're between $3,000 and $6,000, you should be about 0.17% conversion rate. If you're at between $6,000 and $1,000 or $10,000 in terms of your product cost, you should be at a 0.08% conversion rate. So those are some general benchmarks to see if you're on track in terms of your conversion rate of what you're getting already. What you should expect your traffic to be converting at minimum. If your site's set up well to convert this traffic in the first place, and if your targeting is on point. So, and of course, like I said earlier, the third main reason why people can't get their cold traffic YouTube campaigns to work, the reason why that people cannot get their YouTube cold traffic campaigns to work is because they aren't tracking well enough, i.e. they're not using view-through tracking. So what you want to do is track how many sales or how many leads you're getting through Google Ads, like normal, like you would with any other campaign that you're running on Google Ads, but you want to set up the view-through conversion window on the goal itself to look up to 30 days after the click, as well as the engaged view window to 30 days as well. So if somebody has seen the ad and then ultimately within 30 days purchased, that counts as that ad campaign delivering a conversion still. So, and with that, you have you'll pick up a lot better idea or feel of how well those YouTube ads are actually delivering sales for your company. Because obviously, if these are people who've never heard of you or seen you before, and they see your ad and they buy within 30 days, for the most part, you can almost basically assure yourself or guarantee that these people bought because they've seen your ad. So add that to your strategy. That right there is a total game changer. So anyway, that's the basic formula of what to do, how to do it. It's a lot more complicated than people think that it is, but anybody can do this. Everybody can study their customer base, what they actually need and desire and want, come up with a laser targeted video for them, target it so only they see it, and then track whether people buy up to 30 days after seeing that video ad, whether or not it's picked up by Google's conversion tracking by clicking through the ad directly, then whether or not it's picked up by Google's conversion tracking with seeing if people click through that ad and bought, and just looking at it, see if they seen the ad and bought in general, since good half or more of the conversions are going to be people who didn't click through the ad right away, but they were influenced by your ad because it was so informative. So anyway, with that said, I'll wrap it up with that. If you have any questions, leave me a comment below. I get back to every person who leaves me a comment on this channel. If you like the channel, you should consider subscribing. And if you're looking for somebody to help you manage your PPC campaigns, reach out to my firm. I manage all the clients' campaigns that we have here at Guaranteed PPC. We also guarantee our work, and that means guaranteeing your sales. So if you're looking for somebody who's the best in the business at managing ads, creating ads, getting guaranteed results on your campaign or on campaigns, reach out to us. I'll give you a free proposal telling you how many sales you can get in addition to what you have right now or could get with a new potential campaign that you're looking to start up. With that, I'll wrap it all up with that. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you in my next video where we have another great money-making strategy for you to employ. See you later.